Have you ever been sitting or standing at your job and wondering what you're doing, why you're doing it, and if you're really going to spend the rest of your days doing whatever it is that you're doing? I felt that way too. And so in this video, I want to give some of my perspective on how to find purpose in your 9 to 5 job, and kind of reframing the question from less about finding purpose in what you're doing versus how and why you're doing it. But first, before we get into that, if you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Cooper, and I'm a recent college graduate documenting my journey as well as giving advice to you all here on this YouTube channel. So if that is something you are interested in, feel free to stick around. All right, let's get into it. So the first topic or sub point I want to hit on is the concept of meaningless work. Oftentimes, when we're sitting there at the desk, typing away on our keyboard, and we feel those thoughts enter the back of our minds, right? Of why are we doing this? Like, what am I doing? I think we often find that, like, what we're doing, we find meaningless, right? And so there are many people out there who seemingly can't find meaning in the job that they have. They don't love doing it. They don't love waking up and loving what they're doing, looking forward to what they're doing. But I want to say that I think that purpose isn't just limited to passion projects or entrepreneurship, right? I think the common solution that we hear from a lot of people online mainly is that, well, there's a big rise in entrepreneurship culture. The concept that, well, if you're unhappy at your 9 to 5, you just need to find the hobby that will replace your 9 to 5 and will bring in, the income you need in order to live a solid lifestyle, right? But I don't think that that's necessarily the only option. The route to happiness isn't exclusively, held by, as I said, passion projects or entrepreneurship. And I think what's more important is that whatever it is you're doing, it has the purpose, and that comes from the why and the how. There's a reason why the passion projects and the entrepreneurship route, starting a business from scratch, for example, has that passion, it has that drive, it has that purpose that keeps you going, is because you chose to do that, and all the cards are in your hands. You're in control, right? And so you know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it. You're the one who set out to do it. And so all you have to do is, you don't need to necessarily jump ship from your 9 to 5 and hop on board with that, start a whole business, right? You don't need to put that risk on yourself. You just need to carry over the attributes that make, starting a business, usually more, passionate and meaningful and fulfilling than the 9 to 5. Find the aspects that make that line of work, fulfilling, and carrying it over. For example, say you are a barista at Starbucks, right? All you do all day is make drinks, right, for people. Most people would find that extremely redundant and, tiresome and boring, right? But the silver lining that you could find, the attitude that you can carry over from, a passion of yours or a business of yours, would be, what's the service that I'm providing people? A lot of times it's the mindset that you carry over. What's what's the shared mindset that you can have, both from a business mind perspective and a barista, is the act of serving people. You're not just serving drinks, right? You're creating what could be the best moment of someone's day, right? Either through, like, the excellent work you put into making the drink, or the excellent customer service, and the smile on your face that you had when you took their order, or the nice messages that you wrote on the cup when they received it, and it just made their day. Finding moments like that helps add purpose, and these are backed up with studies. For instance, there's been studies done from Harvard Business Review that report that people who reframe their daily work as contributing to something larger report 3 times as 3 times higher job satisfaction regardless of pay or position. So just like my example, you could be the lowest level of a company, but the impact that you can have is still massive, right? From one of my favorite quotes from the Game of Thrones series, right? A very small man can cast a very large shadow. So it's not the pay or position, it's finding the meaning behind it. But why do people have those feelings of lack of meaning in the first place, right? Why do most people feel lost in their job? And I think it's because most people expect that the job by its nature will provide purpose. They don't see the link, between their daily tasks and their personal drive and their values and their passion. They think that just inherently because they have a higher position or title, a higher salary, that inevitably comes with higher satisfying work, when that's not necessarily the case. And a couple of reasons for that could be that the modern 9-to-5 office job usually focuses more on metrics, not meaning. If you ever feel like you're going into the office and you feel like just like another number on a sheet, just another person on payroll, oftentimes that really is the case, because businesses, like the concept of business is all about numbers. So different companies and corporations have different values. Some are very people oriented, and so that's another way. It's like if you love the office work, find a way to work for people who seem to value you, right? But in reality, when push comes to shove, the foundation of business is metrics, is numbers, right? If a company isn't turning a profit, they're not going to be a company for very long. So they have to focus, on the numbers, to some degree, right? But that doesn't mean that you necessarily as an employee have to focus on that, right? Focusing too much on the metrics can very quickly take and strip the meaning away from what you're doing. And so this has been my experience, right? I've now been working in an office job post-college, post-graduation for 6 months now. And I've definitely had my moments where the work has felt pointless, almost to the point where I haven't even been doing anything at all, right? It's been slow, right? And my mind would go there frequently, and I found that in order to get myself out of that mindset and frame of thinking, I realized that I had to stop. I had stopped looking for the why, right? I had stopped looking for the greater purpose, which I had going and looking for a job. And so in my case, I work for an engineering and construction firm. And so when I was looking forward to working for this company, and I was looking for other companies coming out of college, my biggest thing was I want to work for a company that is advancing human society. If I feel that my company and the work that my company does is for the greater good, then I will feel valued as a piece in the puzzle that is achieving something great. That was my why. And so I encourage you to find your why. Why do you choose to work for that company, right? Why do you choose to do the work that you do? Find your why, right? And so lastly, going back to the concept of just reframing how you see work. Again, find out who you're helping, what skills you're developing, how it connects to your long-term goals. And that's really my last point, is finding how your work contributes to the future. For some people, they get into their first job and that's what they do for the rest of their lives. And there's no shame in that. Like my parents, that's what they did. My father entered his engineering job and has worked for the same company his entire career, spanning several decades. And that's what he's done. And because he's found purpose in it. And there's no shame in that. And there's no shame either in hopping around, experimenting, trying different things. Or in my case, like having a vision for what my ideal life would be and using the job and the work that I do now as a means of getting me closer to that goal, giving me the resources, either, materially, like money, or, intangible things like just skills, just learning skills and knowledge that will equip me to be able to build a life that I want, either through, entrepreneurship, and building businesses of my own to where I can be financially independent and free and do the things that I want to do to provide for my family. That's my goal, and that's how I view this job that I'm in, because I'm thinking about the future. It's not just the day-to-day, oh, this is what I'm going to do. It's very planned out. And so I encourage you, that's another way to try to find purpose, is find how your job connects with your future goals. Try to serve something bigger than yourself. And lastly, build meaning through mastery. If nothing else, find ways to just improve day to day. It may not feel like you're improving. It may not feel like today you were better than yesterday. You might not be. You may be worse. But when you zoom out, when you look week to week, month to month, and especially year to year, are you progressing? Are you progressing your tangible skills, your intangible skills, your hard skills, your soft skills? Are you becoming more of a master, at least, of what you're doing? Because I think that's the bare minimum. If you can't go to a job and at least get better at what you're doing, then for real, actually, why are you there? If you can't even, hold yourself accountable enough to be determined to at least, what I may be doing may not have the greatest impact on myself or other people, but I'm going to be the best one that does this. If I'm flipping burgers, it may not be the fanciest job in the world, but by God, in a year, I'm going to be the best burger flipper there is, right? Just having that mentality will take you very far and provide you with just the base level of purpose that you need to at least get by, right? And to start building something, right? And so that's kind of what I wanted to cover in this video today. Again, finding purpose in your 9 to 5 doesn't mean you have to love every second of it, right? It just means showing up with attention and letting the meaning build over time. You don't need to have your life figured out now, but it helps to just have some idea of the why and the how, right? And so with that, that's all I had for this video. If you found any value from this, feel free to stick around on my channel, where I post new videos every Tuesdays and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And with that, I will see you guys on the next one. Godspeed.